Have you ever noticed that a man's silence can speak louder than any argument? That his ability to remain composed, not chasing, not justifying, not pleading, often lingers in a woman's mind far longer than any words he could have said. This isn't just a tactic for modern relationships. It's a principle as old as time. The most respected and influential men in history never begged for attention or argued for recognition. They carried themselves with quiet confidence, knowing that true power comes from within, not from seeking approval, and that alone made them unforgettable. By the end of this video, you'll understand why mastering silence and self-control is one of the most powerful things you can do. You'll see how history's greatest leaders and thinkers used this approach to command respect and inspire desire. Most importantly, you'll learn how adopting this mindset will completely shift the way women perceive you. Before we begin, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're ready to embody this power, drop a comment below. I move in silence. Now let's get started. The power of silence. Why saying less leaves a greater impact. Throughout history, the most influential men have understood a simple, yet often overlooked truth. Power does not come from speaking the most, but from knowing when to remain silent. The ability to hold back, to let one's presence speak louder than words, has been a defining trait of history's greatest leaders. Consider Marcus Aurelius, one of Rome's most revered emperors. He did not lead through emotional outbursts or desperate attempts to justify himself. He ruled with composure, wisdom, and an unshakable presence. He understood that true influence is not about proving oneself to others, but about mastering oneself first. His silence was not a sign of weakness, it was the ultimate display of control and confidence. The same principle applies in relationships. Silence has a psychological impact that words never can. When you refrain from over-explaining, when you don't chase, when you don't immediately react, something interesting happens. She starts thinking about you. And the more she thinks, the more emotionally invested she becomes. This isn't manipulation, it's human nature. People, especially women, are drawn to what they do not fully understand. The unknown is always more intriguing than the obvious. On the other hand, weak men feel the need to constantly explain themselves, to seek approval, to make sure they are understood. They talk too much, hoping that their words will win her over. But the truth is, over-explaining kills attraction. It removes the mystery. It makes you predictable. And predictability, in the realm of attraction, is the enemy of desire. A strong man operates differently. If she disrespects you, you don't argue. You don't plead for her to see your worth. You simply remove yourself. Your absence becomes the loudest statement you could ever make. If she tests you, you don't react emotionally, you remain calm. You let her feel the weight of your unwavering presence. If she pulls away, you don't chase. You let her experience the space, and in that space, she realizes your value. And what happens as a result? She starts to wonder, she starts to analyze, she starts to crave the attention you are no longer giving freely. The irony is, the more you withhold your energy, the more she is drawn to you. Women are naturally drawn to men they cannot easily decipher. A man who speaks less but whose actions show strength and certainty will always hold more influence than a man who constantly seeks validation through words. Silence forces her to lean in, to wonder, to question, and in doing so, she becomes emotionally invested in figuring you out. This is why mastering silence is one of the greatest tools you can have, not just in relationships, but in life. When you speak only when necessary, when you remain composed under pressure, and when you refuse to beg for attention, you automatically command respect. It is not about being cold or unfeeling. It is about understanding that true attraction and influence come from a place of self-mastery. A man who knows his worth does not need to announce it. His silence says everything. 2. Acceptance, the silent power of a high-value man. True strength is not found in resistance, but in the ability to accept reality as it is. A man who masters acceptance does not see it as surrender, he sees it as power. Throughout history, the wisest men have understood this. Epictetus, the great Stoic philosopher, taught that the only thing truly within our control is ourselves, our thoughts, our reactions, and our mindset. The moment we try to control anything beyond that, we give away our power. A man who clings, who begs, who resists what is already happening only weakens himself, but a man who accepts, he rises above the chaos. Now let's apply this to relationships. Imagine a woman pulling away. She starts texting less. She seems distant. She no longer gives you the same energy she once did. The average man panics. His ego takes a hit. He floods her phone with messages asking what's wrong, trying to fix things, pleading for reassurance. He is desperate to regain the control he feels slipping away. But this reaction only pushes her further. Why? Because desperation signals a lack of self-respect. It reveals fear, insecurity, and neediness, traits that kill attraction. A strong man, however, operates differently. He does not resist the shift in energy. He does not chase or seek validation. He simply accepts. If she is pulling away, so be it. If she is losing interest, he does not fight against reality. He lets her go. Not because he is indifferent, but because he understands a fundamental truth. His value is not determined by her presence. And here is where the dynamic shifts. The moment he does not react the way most men would, she notices, she expects him to panic, she expects him to beg. But when he does neither, confusion sets in. She starts to question her decision. Why isn't he chasing? Why isn't he trying to prove his worth? And in that moment of uncertainty, the power shifts back to him. A man who accepts a woman's distance without resistance forces her to reflect. She begins to feel the space he created, and in that space, she starts to wonder if she made the right choice. This is the paradox. By doing nothing, by simply accepting, he becomes more desirable. Acceptance is not passivity. It is the mark of a man who understands that he does not need to control external circumstances to remain in control of himself. When you stop fighting reality, you separate yourself from the masses of men who crumble at the first sign of rejection. You become rare, you become unforgettable, because in a world full of men who desperately seek approval, the one who accepts whatever comes and remains unmoved becomes the man who cannot be replaced. 3. Historical proof. Why women are drawn to unshaken men. Throughout history, the most captivating men have never been the ones who pleaded for attention or acted out of desperation. Instead, they were the ones who maintained their composure, who remained unmoved by the chaos around them, and in doing so, commanded deep admiration. Take Napoleon Bonaparte, a man known for his military genius and political dominance. While he was fierce on the battlefield, in his relationships, he understood the power of distance and control. He never showered women with desperate affection, nor did he overindulge in emotional reactions. Instead, he allowed his presence, or lack thereof, to cultivate desire. His ability to remain detached, to be unpredictable yet composed, only intensified the attraction women felt toward him. Or consider James Bond, a fictional character, yes, but one deeply rooted in the real-life charisma of elite, high-status men. Bond does not beg, he does not over-explain, he does not seek approval. His allure comes from his unshaken nature, his ability to remain cool and collected, even in the face of tension. This, more than any words he could say, makes him irresistible. What's the lesson here? It's simple. The moment a man becomes emotionally unstable, he loses his power. When a man chases, pleads, or reacts impulsively, he signals weakness. And weakness, whether in history or in modern relationships, is never attractive. The moment a man masters his emotions, he regains control. When a man remains calm, when he does not react out of fear or insecurity, he separates himself from the rest. He becomes the rare man who is not easily swayed, and that makes him unforgettable. A man who controls himself automatically controls the attraction in a relationship. Not because he is playing games, but because he understands this fundamental truth. Strength is not found in seeking validation, but in remaining unshaken. 4. How to apply this power in your life. Now that you understand the psychological depth behind silence and acceptance, it's time to put these principles into action. The real power comes from how you choose to respond, or rather, not respond, to situations in your relationships. Here are some practical ways to embody this power in your everyday interactions. 1. Stop over-explaining. When a woman challenges you or questions you, resist the urge to justify yourself endlessly. So often men fall into the trap of defending every word or action, hoping to be understood. But here's the truth. Explaining too much only weakens your position. Instead, make your point clearly, then let your silence speak volumes. Your confidence in your stance, without the need for endless clarification, will leave a much stronger impression. 2. Walk away when necessary. If she is playing games, testing your limits, or showing disrespect, the best response is often no response at all. Remove your energy from the situation. Whether it's pulling back emotionally or physically walking away, absence will create value. She will begin to realize what she stands to lose. The moment you take your energy away from someone who is not treating you with the respect you deserve, you not only reclaim control, but you also signal that you will not settle for anything less than mutual respect. 3. Master emotional control. A man who is emotionally reactive is a man who is easily controlled. Frustration, anger, and neediness are signs of a lack of self-control. They create an imbalance that can be exploited. Women are drawn to men who remain calm and composed, regardless of external circumstances. When a woman sees that she cannot provoke you, that you are unshaken by her tests or emotional shifts, she begins to respect you not just as a partner, but as a man who is in complete control of himself. Emotional stability is the key to mastering attraction and influence. 4. Become comfortable with uncertainty. Life, especially relationships, is filled with uncertainty. And here's the secret. The more comfortable you are with discomfort, the more powerful you become. A man who can sit with uncertainty without reacting, without chasing, pleading, or becoming anxious, becomes the most powerful force in a woman's life. She may try to pull away or create distance, but as long as you remain composed and unbothered, she will begin to realize that she cannot easily manipulate or control you. This is the mark of a truly high-value man, the ability to remain calm and centered no matter what life throws your way. The moment you stop seeking validation from others, you start to become the validation. When you no longer need external approval to feel secure in yourself, you become a man of high value, not just in relationships, but in all aspects of life. This is the true power of silence and acceptance, not as a tactic, but as a way of living. Why women are not drawn to men who chase. The fundamental truth is clear. Women are not drawn to men who chase. They are drawn to men who don't need to chase, who command attention effortlessly through their presence and energy. This is the essence of power in relationships and life. Here's how the core principles we've discussed shape your presence. Silence makes her think about you. When you don't rush to fill every silence with words, when you don't over-explain yourself or try to justify your actions, you become a mystery. This intrigue keeps her mentally engaged and emotionally invested. Your absence from the conversation will always do more for your image than your presence will. Acceptance makes her question her decisions. By accepting situations as they are, whether she's distant or unresponsive, you send a message that your value is not contingent on her attention or approval. This level of emotional self-sufficiency makes her reconsider whether she truly understands your worth, and when she does, she may realize she's made a mistake. The power of acceptance is its ability to make others reflect on their actions. Emotional control makes you stand out from every other man. In a world where most men react impulsively to emotions, you stand as a pillar of control. The man who can remain calm, even in challenging situations, holds a magnetic pull. It's the kind of pull that attracts respect and admiration without demanding it. Emotional control is what sets you apart from the emotional chaos most men experience in their relationships. When you adopt these principles, when you embrace silence, acceptance, and emotional control, everything changes. You'll notice a shift not just in your relationships, but in the way you approach life. You'll no longer beg for validation. You'll no longer chase after anyone's approval. Instead, respect will come naturally. Attraction will follow effortlessly. And most importantly, you will become a man who is truly in control of your emotions, your actions, and your destiny. If you're ready to embrace this mindset, drop a comment below. I am in control. And before you go, like, share, and subscribe so you never miss powerful lessons like this. Until next time, stay strong, stay disciplined, and never let your emotions control you.